as we say hi and hello to Chicago's general manager, Kyle Davidson. I imagine those reports bring a smile to your face, Kyle, but also the fact that you're getting, or you could get, a heck of a player.
Yeah, I think both are pretty exciting. It's been a little bit of a challenging year, obviously, with our rebuild, and the results weren't there on the ice. So to get a little bit of luck and the lottery balls bouncing our way last night was good for the hockey side, and it's obviously, as you just mentioned there, it's pretty special for the business side too.
Kyle, what was the day like for you yesterday as you prepared for obviously a big day, potentially big day that turned out to be just that in franchise history?
Yeah, it was actually a pretty normal day. We had our amateur scouting staff in town, so we were chatting with them. We didn't officially start meetings until this morning, once we knew the results of the lottery. So it was cool just to have them in, more of a casual setting than an official meeting, but just had them around the office and talking hockey, talking playoffs, the under-18 tournament that we were all just at. So more of a casual day, honestly, trying to kill a little bit of time in the afternoon to probably take my mind off things a little bit. But yeah, just a normal day.
So Kyle, you obviously have a rebuilding plan, and you guys weren't the highest chance of getting this #1 pick. How much does it change your plan going forward now, where all of a sudden you get this generational talent? Does it jumpstart it a year, 2 years? Do you just kind of stick with the plan and this is a bonus, or how does that work?
Yeah, the way I see it is we're gonna stick to our plan, and I've been asked a lot over the last little while, or since we won the lottery, about timeline and does this accelerate anything? And for me, it doesn't really change anything. My plan was always that the players would dictate the pace of our rebuild, and so we'll leave that to them, and we're going to do our best to obviously bring this great player in, but also surround them with a full team of players that we think will be part of a successful team here. So it's just about finding players, and then once we have those players, their development will dictate the pace of the rebuild. So it's kind of just a wait and see, but no change to the plan on our end.
How much have you been watching Connor Bedard highlights in the last, 24 hours?
Kind of hard to avoid, I guess, right? Like it's everywhere. But you know what? I'm really excited the way we did things here with our amateur scouts coming into town today, because obviously we had the whole group in who've been watching this draft class all year and put in such long hours, time away from home, getting ready for this draft, and then to have the #1 pick is really exciting for them. But now we get to actually talk about the players and start to strategize on selections, on strategies, and so it's pretty great.
Kyle, you mentioned this year it's been a tough year. I've joked here, this is not a rebuild, it's kind of a demolition, because it seems like you are really starting completely all over. You've kind of had to wave goodbye to some guys that are franchise icons that'll be in the Hall of Fame, that'll maybe have statues outside those buildings one of these days. But how hard has it been in practice day after day? Because the players come in, and you had some good games this year. Down the stretch, the team won some important games that kind of really ruffled the feathers of some teams that were trying to win. How hard is it a year, day to day, to go through this? Because people just think, well, this is great. They end up with the player. There was no guarantee that you were going to get this particular player. But what was that year like day to day for you and for the guys around you in the organization?
Yeah, it's you have to what I believe in and what we've had to do, given what we needed to essentially do and enact to kind of build that next team is you have to be process driven, and you have to take the long-term view of things, and sometimes there are really difficult decisions in the moment, and that extends not just this season but all the way back to last year's trade deadline, and then into the last year's draft, and then this season as well, saying goodbye to a lot of great players, historic Blackhawk players, legacy players. It was really tough. It's not an easy thing, and despite where we are and what we're doing in our rebuild, losing is not easy for anyone,
Yeah.
and you get into this business to win, and you're competitive, and everyone wants to achieve success, and it's not easy to have to do, make decisions that are, tough in the short term, but beneficial in the long term. And so that's been difficult. But my biggest point of education, I think, this year is controlling what I can control. And we knew the lottery odds weren't going to be in our favor, even if you finished with the last in the last place with the best odds. They're still not favorable in getting that top pick, as you saw this time around for Anaheim. Unfortunately, it's tough. And so our strategy and my kind of point of emphasis was just getting as many assets as we could, because we couldn't rely on the odds for that one pick. But what we could control is getting as many assets and the volume in draft pick capital that we could in order, so we didn't have to rely on those odds. Now, luckily, things broke our way, and now we've got a really great pick first overall, as well as great draft capital. But we didn't plan it that way, because you'd be foolish to plan to get first overall. It's not the way it works.
All right. Well, you got or you could get Connor Bedard. I always say that. I was like,
Come on, they're taking Connor
they shock the
Bedard.
world. You never know.
They're not
Funny,
shocking
like
anybody.
You turn the news on, it just says the Chicago Blackhawks got Connor Bedard. Like it's
I know, but it's like,
yeah.
Anyways, we all expect that
We'll
is.
find out in Nashville.
Yeah,
You
we'll
can find out in Nashville.
Nashville. Hey,
later on.
TBD. See what happens.
That's right.
At the draft in Nashville. I want to ask you just kind of about your philosophy of building a team. Each alluded to the fact that, there's a lot of work to be done here. Connor Bedard is an amazing piece, obviously. But how do you look at it? Do you have a certain identity that you want to build a team around, that you want it to look like, and you want players that fit into that identity? Or how do you kind of look at building a team, I guess, is what I'm asking you. What is your sort of philosophy on how to do that and your plan to do that moving forward?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I'll say on that is you can't. I don't believe in being rigid in one philosophy over another. Sometimes you have to alter that plan or be agile to your philosophy based on the players you have or the players you bring in order to maximize what they're best at and put them in the best situation to succeed. But at the bedrock of all of it, I think you need, and what I want, are players that show up every night and compete every night. And I think we showed that this year, even though it was a tough year with the results. For the most part, I think it'd be hard to find a game this year that our players and our coaching staff didn't get the team working as hard as they could. And no matter if we were down a game, we never quit. We came back on a lot of teams, and I think that just shows the hardworking nature and culture that our coaches have instilled. And I think Luke Richardson has been amazing at establishing that work ethic within our team, and that will be the bedrock of things moving forward.
Kyle, what do you make of the first month of the Stanley Cup playoffs? We're into round 2 right now. It seems like every day is a new surprise. I mean, how does it look to you from your perspective as a manager in this league?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. You always watch the playoffs and try to learn something new and see what's working, what's not. But you know what? I feel like things will, one night they're going how I would expect, and then the next night the script flips and are going in a totally different direction. And I think it's great drama. You know what? It's exciting. You tune in because you don't know what's going to happen. And that's the beauty of our sport, is that, you drop that puck and you don't know who's going to win or how it's going to play out. And, there's been some upsets. There's been some really good teams that have gotten knocked out earlier than anyone would have expected. And I think the main takeaway is that we've got a lot of parity in this league, and it's really exciting for the fans and for fans that are getting into hockey, because I think you can tune into any of these games that are on a nightly basis and be entertained and be excited and it's time well spent watching the NHL right now.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of everything.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
had massive
Oh, yeah.
upsets. We've had huge comebacks in some of these games and some of these series. It really has been a ton of fun. And to quote Ted Lasso, all we know is that we don't know.
We don't know.
Until it
Yeah.
plays out.
No.
But we appreciate the time, Kyle. Congratulations again on securing that first overall pick in the lottery last night. Enjoy your draft prep. I'm sure there's a little more pep in the scouting staff step as you guys get ready for Nashville.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.